Okay guys, today we're going to replace the valve cover on an N52 engine in an X3. It's a fairly straightforward job. We're just going to clear all the excess up top and then remove parts here and then lift off the cover and replace it. As you can see, this one has seen the better days before. There's a ton of gasket maker applied to it. A really shoddy repair done in the past. Is crazy leak, oil leaking everywhere, all over the packs here, onto the engine. It's burning, it's smoking, it's like a bloody steam train now. And then we got leak over here too. I'm gonna do this next, but today's job is the valve cover. So let's start dismantling this first. Next thing we're gonna do is remove the strut case. Size 13 socket. Okay, all the bolts are off. Let's pull this off. Done. Now we're gonna remove the battery cables from here. And then take off these Torx bolts here. Look like a T27. Let's see. Is it a T27? Yeah, I think it's a T27. Okay guys, so before you do anything, the battery should be disconnected. And now we know there's no charge in the battery. You can go right ahead and take off these. Okay, we're gonna unplug for the vanos. We're also gonna start taking the coil packs out one by one. Mine are pretty shot. I think these are original ones that came with the car. 220,000 Ks, they're absolute garbage. Now let's just take this off first too, on top. Now we have a bit more access here, so we can undo the plugs. Get as many as possible. Let's do 342 sensors. Okay guys, now to remove this, we got back off those clips there. I don't know if the camera's picking them up or not, but gonna use a pick tool, go under it, and just try to pull them apart, push them back so they release both sides at a time. Well, one side at a time actually. Pick tool is not really what is affecting it. Maybe a screwdriver might catch the edge of it. And push it back. There you go. Once I take these off, I'll actually show you what I've done and how these work. It's better that way. You can just see that pin right there has been pushed out of its slot, so it's gone out of the lock position, and now it's moving. It's lifting up slightly. We've got about 4 more to do, I think. And I'll show you when I'm done with it. And now actually the locking mechanism works on this. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and undone my cam sensors too. So now there are 2 of them. There's one here and one there. It's a simple plug you push, or you can actually lift it up the tab from here and it releases. So you get that, and more of the wiring comes out. You know where this one's going to next. Let's see. Okay guys, I'd say this is the most painstaking part about removing the wiring, and it's because of these clips here. So the way you can deal with them is ideally pry them from the front, but there's no space, so they lock like this. Okay, so you use your screwdriver, push it back, or pick tool, and push it back. It's a painstaking process, but then you see the lock gets released and then it just gets pulled up, and that's how you get access to all your wires, all your bolts on the top of the valve cover. And now we're just gonna pull this out to the front. I went crazy and took out the sensors and everything, because this motor is one of the worst motors. I've owned a lot of cars over the years, and this is one of the worst looking motors I've ever seen, neglected so badly. I pulled out a cam sensor and this is what came out of it. Look at it. It's filthy. I am actually scared about doing an oil change on this thing to see what kind of crap's gonna come out of it. But at least I know what I'm dealing with. So let's carry on and see what's next. Eccentric shaft center actuator out. Now we're gonna go at the back and release these O2 sensor wires. There's also a hose at the back. You don't see it, but it's really hard to get it off because the edge of the plastic is too old now, and it's just awful to get to it. That's better. Move these wires down below so we got a bit more clearance there. Yep, a hex 5 bolt, guys. Okay guys, so now to open this hose at the back, we're going to try the pick method. It's just really hard to pinch it, so we're going to put the pick on the top and try to rotate it. There we go. Oh yeah, there is lunch. Looks like I might be ordering a new crankcase ventilation valve today. That might be related to my funny idle situation too, I guess. Misfire. I've just triple checked all the bolts now, guys. Now it's a matter of breaking the valve cover loose, because the previous mechanic who worked on this car, or the person, actually used RTV to seal the gasket. You can see the beading of it on the outside, so I can only imagine it's gonna be a little tricky to get it off. Okay guys, so now it looks like it might come out easy. Okay guys, so now finally it's gonna come off. There we go. Oh, not that easy, I guess. There we go. Okay guys, this is a prime example when a BMW is owned by the wrong type of owner. No oil changes, ton of carbon buildup, just absolutely gross. Yeah, I'll probably have to seafoam this engine, maybe put other liquid moly shit in there to break this carbon down. Look at that, it's just chunks everywhere. Carbon galore, and look at that, that seals the deal. Don't even know what the heck is it. It's like almost like a wax stamp from the early 1800s. And look at the buildup here on top of, right here, on top of the cam sensor. I pulled the cam sensor out yesterday and I was kind of stunned to see the grossness there. And there's the other one. So right now we're just gonna clean, hand pick as much crud I can. I have to drop the oil in this car anyway because I don't know what kind of oil to put in. I saw the filter, it's cheap, but the guides look solid, the chain looks okay, at least that's the good part. I'm gonna change the plugs. I'm gonna start cleaning up these mating surfaces. And oh, actually, I should show you the valve cover. Yeah, look at the valve cover. Oh yeah, look at that. RTV even here. It's just shady stuff. All RTV to stop the oil leak. And there's the good old cheese factory in the corner there. Everything's leaking. Look, RTV beads. Going out of control. I have a brand new valve cover sitting in the garage, so I'm going to switch the parts from this valve cover to that because this needs to be pressure washed and seen if there's any other cracks in this or not. Alright guys, so for a couple hours I've been going to town with the pick tool and I've tried to take off big chunks of carbon as safely as I could. And now it's time to wipe the edges and the mating surfaces with the degreaser, and then we're gonna lay down the new valve cover on top. Okay guys, so the new valve cover with the gaskets is all prepped. Make sure your gasket is seated all properly. Acquired these two bolts from the old valve cover and the one in the middle. Put the spark plug tubes in. Make sure you double check the seals, they're all sitting proper. Transfer over the valve cover cap, the oil cap from the old one. And now it's time to put the new cover back on. Old one and shiny new one. I opted for a Rein product instead of a genuine BMW because it's literally 4 times the price. So let's see how good this one goes for. And the main reason for that is I gotta buy a gazillion parts for this car, and I gotta see what works. For the meantime, I've had good reviews on this Rein valve cover, so hopefully this one works out. So now everything is prepped. We're gonna bring the valve cover and put it on. Okay, make sure your valve cover gasket is intact. Hold it with a hand behind the back and then slide it over. Before you let it seat for the final time, just make sure your rubber seals are all sitting properly. That is not recommended because a slam like that might take the seals to come out. So now I have to make sure that corner is seated properly. Yes. Just have to be really patient with this, guys. It's worth it being patient and not being rough, because any rough movement here can lead to another leak and cost more money, waste more time. Not really worth it. And be mindful of this. Okay guys, so I've put the valve covers, I've seated it on, and this not being a genuine BMW valve cover, I've had some issues with the fitment. The major one I realized was the dowel pin that's supposed to go with the bolt spacer here was actually sitting slightly sideways, so I had to maneuver this whole thing a few times, loosen all the bolts and put that bolt in, lower it down, and then just put the bolts snug. And now we can torque them at 9 Newton meters each. We're going to start torquing the bolts from the middle first and then go back and forth, as everything here is not really sequenced, so we're just going to go with doing the middle ones first. I'll set it to 6.6 foot-pounds. So okay, it's one. Okay guys, so I've just put the socket on the bolt and now I'm just gonna put the wrench on and just torque this last bolt in the corner there. Okay, that's done. Now the middle one. Nice. Six and a half foot-pounds is not a whole lot of torque, guys, so be careful when you do this. You don't want to crack this. I'm gonna have to actually go back to that because I'm getting a bit worried with that. It's just taking too long to do. Okay, now we're gonna go to these ones. One and one up, one down. Work our way from the back to the front. Okay, this one's already tight enough. Okay, that's torque. Okay, that's done too. Okay, that's good. Done. Done. Go back to the back. Last one that I was getting worried about. You just don't want to over torque it and crack it. So there we go. Bolts are all torqued. Just double check. Yep. I just wanted to double check the torque, guys, because sometimes when you re-torque after the snug fitting, they tend to come loose, and I didn't want that. I'm just gonna line up my injector plugs there, connectors. Injector connectors were a bit off with all the moving around, so I'm just gonna line them up. I'm gonna take out the spark plugs and change them while I'm at it. I've got a fresh set of NGK 6619 plugs to go in, and after that we're gonna throw in the new. Okay guys, so now I've got the spark plug tool. I'm just using a 5/8 socket. And now it's time to get it off. Just be gentle with them, because on a high kilometer engine like mine, you might have a little bit of a rough go with taking the plugs out. I tried to take one out before I started to film the video, and I ordered the parts, and it was not the easiest thing to do with all the gunk and burnt oil sitting in there. I believe it just makes it harder, so I'm just gonna put the new ones. Here's the code number for the plugs if you were looking for these. Yeah, I think this is the one that I opened up. Oh no, I don't think so, maybe not. So this is the plug that came out. Just a little dab on the threads is plenty, guys. And just be very careful when you drop the plug in. You don't want the point to hit and make the gap wonky, so I'm just gonna hand tighten them first and then I'll torque them. So there we go. This is a prime example of stuck threads on a spark plug. It's really hard to undo these, so tighten, loosen, tighten. Don't just keep loosening them up, just move them a little bit and then go back at it. You don't want to strip the threads. You just want to go very little fractions, then tighten again. Alright, so I ended up spraying some multi-lube in there, and now I'm just doing the same thing, going slowly. Threads are still tight, but tightening and loosening is really helping out. There we go, it's finally coming out. So if you have a spark plug that's stuck in the head by the heat cycles, grime, or neglection, whatever you want to call it, this is what you do. Loosen, tighten, break the seal, then spray some lube in there, and then the plug will eventually come off. If it feels too strong to do, don't go with that. You might be ruining the threads, and that's going to be an expensive thing to fix. And do not use power tools. Just use hand tools to undo the plugs for sure. There we go. So the lube was able to go through the whole spark plug. You can just see the rust that was sticking to the threads. And now the leftover lube that's in the cylinder barrel, or the spark plug hole, whatever you want to call it, will get burned off when the car actually runs. And now it's time to put fresh plug in, and that's how we finish off the spark plugs. Okay guys, set the torque wrench to 23 foot-pounds. Hope it gets it. And now we're just going to torque every single spark plug. Be careful of this valve here, guys. You don't want to break it by accident. It's very delicate. If you break it, gotta buy the whole new valve cover again. Okay guys, now the spark plugs are in. It's time to put the Valvetronic solenoid back in. I've cleaned up the carbon from this thing, and in doing that I've moved the worm gear. So now just gonna use a 4mm hex, which helps turn the gear. I'm gonna put it on so it just seats in properly. Let's see how that goes. Keep turning it till it locks into its place. There you go. This is good now. And the bottom bolt can also go on from here onwards. Instead of Torx, I have a hex bolt, courtesy of the person who worked on here before. I guess they lost the actual bolt and they replaced it with the hex. Now it's time to fit the E8 bolts in here. So the torque for these is 7.3 foot-pounds or 10 Newton meters for the E8s. There we go. And the last bit to hold this securely is to tighten the bolt at the bottom. I went for the Delphi Technologies coil packs. They were very cheap from Rock Auto. I went for all 6 new ones, and they look really good quality. So I'm just gonna put them in. Push on firmly so they sit in. The ignition coils are on, spark plugs are changed. I'm leaving this hose off because now I'm going to actually pull off my manifold and check to see if there's anything going on with the hoses underneath. I have new hoses sitting. I might just replace them too and clean off any blow by there from the leaking oil filter gasket. That's going to be the next one, and then most of the leaks are done. Okay guys, all the work is now done. We're just going to start it up and see how it runs. Okay guys, after all the repairs are done, the smoke is the leftover oil that was sitting on the engine and the manifold, burning itself off. Other than that, the car looks and runs really smooth and solid right now. No oil leaks. I'm doing the voiceover at the time of editing the video, and this is after 1500 kilometers. Still no oil leaks. And I'll keep updating in the future if this Rein valve cover gives itself up, and that way you can see if it's value for money or not.
If you like the video, please subscribe. It helps my channel out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.